Okay, let's do a quick review of sections 9-6 and 9-7 where you're using the quadratic formula. So I'll call this review of 9-6 and 9-7. So if you recall from your notes from the other day, say for example you had a quadratic that looked like this. And we know it's a quadratic because of the x squared right here. And say you wanted to figure out what the two zeros, x-intercepts, solutions, whatever you want to call it. Let's say you wanted to figure that out without factoring it out or doing anything like that, but maybe you just want to use the quadratic formula. And if you recall, I'll kind of put it off to the side here in a different color. The quadratic formula, to get your 1x or 2x's or no x's, depending on what it looks like, you use this formula. Don't worry about trying to memorize this formula because they're going to put it on your formula sheet for the SOL. All right, so there she is. Put her in a pretty little cloud. All right, so what I do is I come over here and I label A, B, and C. Make sure everybody's hanging out together on one side of the equal sign. The number in front of your x squared is A, the number in front of your x is B, and the number chosen by itself with no variable attached is your C. And it's just a matter of plugging it into this formula over here. So we're going to say, for negative B, we're going to say -5. And then everything under the radical symbol, B squared minus 4 times A times C. A is 2 and C is 3. All divided by 2. 2 times A, and remember A is this guy right here. Now you just do the math. Be careful if you try to put everything in your radical symbol in the calculator at once. I think it messes it up. All right, so 5 squared we know is 25. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 3 is 24. 2 times 2 is 4. All right, let's finish this off. 25 minus 24 of course is 1. Square root of 1, hopefully you can do that in your head. It's 1. So x equals -5 plus or minus 1, and then divide by 4. So let's get our two answers. -5 plus 1 is -5 plus 1 is -4, and -4 divided by 4 is -1. And then for our other answer, -5 minus 1 is -6. And -6 divided by 4, we can at least simplify it to this. So your two solutions, like if you were to graph this quadratic, like put it in your y equals, and look at the graph to see where it crosses your y-axis, it would cross at -1 and -3/2. In case you don't believe me, I'll show you. Just for ha-has. 2x squared plus 5x plus 3. Graph. So notice he's crossing at -1, and you'll have to take my word for it, but that other one is -3/2. All right. I'll do one more where everything isn't all written in standard form, just so you can kind of get used to that. So you'll notice with this quadratic, two guys are hanging out together, but this guy's chilling over here on the other side of the equal sign. He needs to come join his buddies. Since he's a negative 110, we add 110 to both sides. So those will cancel out, and we'll have, he was already here, he was already here, and now this guy's over there too. And there's nothing on the other side. That's a good thing. If you recall the formula, and again, you don't need to memorize this. It'll be on your formula sheet. Okay, so let me go back to purple. So this is A, this is B, this is C. So according to the formula, negative B. Well, interestingly enough, the 41 is already negative. So when I write him, I'm actually going to make him positive. In the radical symbol, B squared. So negative 41 squared. When you go to put that in your calculator, make sure you do this. Otherwise, it'll give you the wrong answer. Minus 4 times A times C. A is 3. C is 110. And then divided by 2 times A. And remember, A is 3. All right. So let's see. Negative 41 squared. I believe. Let me put this over here. I believe it's 1681, but let me double check. In parentheses, negative 41 squared. I was right. Yay. Okay. So 1 plus minus 1681 minus. All right. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 110. Yeah, I'm not doing that in my head. 4 times, oh, not divided. 4 times 3 times 110. 1320. Okay. So, and then that's all over 2 times 3, which is 6. All right. Let's make this look a little bit smaller. 1681 minus 1320 is 361. And square root, the square root of 361, only because I did this ahead of time, I know it's 19. Now we can get our two answers. 41 plus 19 is 60. I gotta write it up here, I'm running out of room. Divided by 6, which of course is 10. And 41 minus 19 is 22, divided by 6. And if I simplify that, I get 11/3. So the two locations where this quadratic would cross the x-axis is 10, okay, do that, 10 and 11/3. Okay. Now, let's move on to, that was not all from 9-6. Now, with regard to 9-7, typically you'll be given a table with some x and y values like this. Sometimes it's given to you in a list, and I'll show that to you in a second. But sometimes it's given to you in a table like this. All right, so you have these points, and you're like, I don't know if this would make a quadratic, and by that I mean if it would make a parabola, like a U shape, or if it would make a line, if it would be linear. So that's the question we're trying to ask. So what I do is I hit this button right here that says Stat, and in list 1, I put my x values, these guys. So I'm going to go -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. And then in my list 2, I put the y values, these guys. So 5, -1, -3, -1, and 5. Once I have my x and y values in there, see right here where it says stat plot? For you guys, I think it's orange. For me, it's blue. Hit second and y equals to get into your stat plot. Hit enter. If it's set for plotting your points to be off, you don't want that. You want it to plot the points you just put in the calculator. You want plotting to be on. Then when you hit graph, you'll actually get to see the points you put in. And if you notice, you can clearly see it's making that U shape, that parabola shape. So we know that this one is quadratic. Now that we know it's quadratic, we can make the calculator give us the equation that goes with those points. So this time hit stat, but instead of editing what's in the lists, go over to calculate. And since we know it makes a quadratic, we want option 5 right here. See, it even says quad. Enter, enter again, and it gives you the quadratic. So it's 2x squared plus 0x's minus 3. And since there are no x's, these guys are missing, we just write it like this. Just leave him out, since he doesn't exist anyway. All right, I'll do one more where it's not in a table, it's actually in a list instead of points. So say you had these points. Okay, so those are your points. Just because it looks confusing to me, I typically write a table anyway, but that's totally up to you. So what you'll do is you'll go into your calculator, clear that junk out, hit stat so you can get to the editing part. You know, you want to edit your lists. Let me clear these out. Go up there if you want to clear it and just hit clear and enter. Clear and enter. All right, so anywho, I'm going to put the x's in list 1, so all these first data values. So, oops, I got to move my, sorry. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then in the second list, I put the y values, so all the second data points. So I'm going to put 2, 1.5, 1, 0.5, and 0. Okay. Now, if you recall, you hit stat again, but this time you want to calculate. Oh, wait, I lied. Let's look at it first. You can see it's making a line. It's not making a U shape this way or that way. It's making a line. So we know it is linear. Now that we know it's linear, now we can go to stat and calculate that line. See right here where it says line or lin. Enter, enter. So it's y equals negative 0.5x plus 2. Y equals negative 0.5x plus 2. Typically in the SOL, they're not going to use decimals here for the slope. Hopefully you know that 0.5 is 1/2. Kind of just get in the habit of writing those fractions. And that's it. So I hope that was a good review for you, and now you can do your classwork successfully.